Welcome. My name is Katherine Winge. Welcome to Gentle Yoga. Today we are going to need a yoga blanket or a towel and a chair. We're going to begin in a supported back bend with the use of our towel or yoga blanket. So I've just folded my blanket in half and then in half again, and then I just rolled it up. And now the blanket's about, maybe about 2 feet long. And when it gets compressed, probably about 2 inches, 3 inches thick, I'm going to lay on it so it's supporting my head and it's supporting my upper back, and my rear is on the floor. As you come on down, have your knees bent, feet on the floor, and just let the knees fall together. So the feet are a little wider than the knees. And then extend your arms on the floor on either side of the body. Palms will face the ceiling. And then maybe walking the hands a little further away from the body. So almost like your armpits get just a little bit of airflow. And see if you can, with the help of the bolster, move the shoulders a little closer towards the floor. So the bolster is just supporting the spine, but the shoulders are just kind of hanging off either side. And have your chin slightly towards your throat so the back of the neck feels long. Soften your belly. And at this point, if you'd like to extend your legs long and that feels really good, go ahead and do that. Sometimes when the legs are extended long, the low back starts to feel tight in this posture. So if that's the case for you, then just bend the knees again, feet on the floor. And just taking a few moments to check in, noticing how your body is feeling, and the quality of your mind, your mood, and your breath. Begin to deepen your breath, inhaling, inviting yourself to your practice, welcoming yourself to the practice, exhaling, surrendering your body to the floor. 2 more rounds of breath like that. Good. And I invite you just to rest on your blanket while I read you a quote from Grace and Possibility by Marissa Knox. Um, so GRACE is an acronym, and R stands for Remembering to Rest in the Rainbow. Resting as you are, remember the truth of your rainbow nature. Rainbows emerge when light and space, water and fire, earth and sky come together. You are the meeting place of all these elements of nature. Your being is just like a rainbow, here for an exquisitely breathtaking moment. Really connecting to the impermanence of it all through the breath, just noticing each exhale leave the body, each inhale coming in. Just a constant change. Take one more very intentional breath in, maybe holding the breath for a moment, and then one more very intentional exhale, perhaps out the mouth if that feels pleasurable. And then you'll just roll over to one side and use the strength of your arms to come on up. We're going to make our way up into a standing position. You can move your blanket off to the side. And just coming on up to stand in mountain pose. Feet directly underneath your hip sockets. Inhale, lift your shoulders up towards your ears, and exhale, drop them down. Let's do that a few more times. Inhaling, lift. Exhale, drop. Good. And then inhale, sweep the arms out to the sides. And exhale, swing the arms forward. It's kind of like sleepwalking arms. Interlace the fingers in front of you and rotate the palms away from you, straightening the elbows until you feel a pleasurable stretch in the arms. And then I'd like you to lower your head and round your upper back. So you're parting the shoulder blades behind you. They're going to move off the back. We're just stretching the muscles in between the shoulder blades, sending the breath into the place in the back of the heart, inhaling. Complete exhale, feel your feet. Good, and then release, releasing the arms. On your next inhale, sweep the arms out to the sides, bring your fingertips to your shoulders, and we're going to draw some circles with those elbows. Let those circles be a little small at first if you like. And as you start to warm up the shoulders, make them bigger and bigger, perhaps bringing the elbows together in front of you as you inhale and bring them up. And then exhaling, elbows back behind you, down to the floor. Let's keep doing that. Inhaling as the elbows come up. Maybe get a little snap, crackle, pop. I'm getting some. And coming down. And even as they come up behind you, maybe the backs of the wrists come pretty close together or together if that feels accessible to you. One more circle this direction. Good, and then we'll go the other direction. Stay connected to your feet. Inhale back and up. Exhale forward and down. We're going to be doing, this class is going to be about back bends. And it's nice to kind of give the shoulders a little bit of a warm up before we get into these back bends, warming up the chest. We're going to warm up the spine too, of course. Let's do 2 more rounds of breath like this, staying connected to the floor through the feet. And then release. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Hold on to your left wrist with your right hand and take a side bend. As we pause here, pressing the feet into the floor, expanding both sides of the waist, both sides of the rib cage get long. Maybe turning your head to the left, looking towards the left bicep. With the next inhale, come on back up. Pause here for an exhale as you switch the hold of your wrists. And then the inhale, side bend, second side. Pushing those feet into the floor, lifting the heart up. And as it moves a little to the left, potentially turning your head to look at your right bicep. On your next inhale, come on up. Exhale, release. Inhale, shoulders up towards ears. Exhale, drop. Twice more. Good, let's come on over to the chair. We're going to come into chair dog. You're welcome to come into a regular downward dog if that's in your practice. If you want to use the chair, you're going to have the 2 feet of the chair on the top of the mat. Hands are going to come to the seat of the chair and then walking those feet back. And I encourage you to bend your knees at first. Bend those knees. Make sure your toes are pointing forward, thighs parallel, feet parallel. So my knees are bent. It's almost like I'm going to try to sit in a chair that's like a foot away from me. I'm trying to reach my bum back, but the knees are bent. Notice where the weight of your body is on your feet. See if you can really spread it out to the big ball mound of the big toes, to the outer edge, the pinky edge of the feet, as well as both sides of the heel, the inner heel, the outer heel. And deepening the breath, perhaps on the exhale, you can start to straighten the legs any amount. And we want to keep the chest open as we're extending the hips back in space. Gazing at the floor. Last breath here. And then releasing the hands to the floor. Maybe bending those knees a little bit more so you can get closer to the floor if you need to. Gaze at the knee. One more round of breath here, this forward fold. And then bending those knees, roll up the spine one vertebrae at a time. Feel the strength of your legs. Roll into that spine. That's the last thing to come on up. Laying the breath. If you have knee sensitivities, please come to sit on the chair, right? So if you don't want to put weight on your knees, basically, have a seat in the chair. If you can put weight on your knees, you can go ahead and grab your blanket, place it in the center of the mat, and you're going to come to kneel on it. We're going to do a variation of Vajrasana. We're sweeping the arms up and down. We've done it quite a few times in this class. So make sure that the knees are directly underneath your hips and the feet and the legs are parallel. And so the inhale, you're going to sweep up, reach up. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Rear goes back. Swan dive forward. Forehead, just a little tap to the mat as you stack your palms face up on the sacrum. On the next inhale, use the strength of your glutes to lift the chest, reach the arms up overhead. And then exhale, hinging at the hips, rear goes back, heart comes forward, dive down, little tap of the forehead on the floor, very gentle. Yes, and a little kiss on the floor with the forehead and then sweeping up. Now, those of you in the chair, you're doing the same thing. You're sitting in that chair. So, key here is to make sure to have the heels a little bit, I would say, in front of the knee, just so you don't fall out of the chair. Inhale, sweeping up, and then exhale, diving down. Now, maybe the palms don't stack on the back of the sacrum if you're in the chair. Maybe you can just have your arms alongside the body if you like. But we're all coming up and going down. So keep moving with your breath. Maybe even slowing the breath down if you can. Let's do two more. Good, and then you'll either pause standing on your knees, or if you can sit on your heels, please do that. Those of you in the chair, just have a seat. We'll just take a moment of silence. Feel your breath. Good. Let's come on up to our feet. Come on up to stand. You can move your blanket off to the side if you used it. And you can move your chair off to the side if you used it. Coming into a variation of Warrior One, you're going to step your right foot forward, left foot back. Now, my feet are about hips width distance wide, and the length, it doesn't have to be super long. We're just starting out in class, so the back toes are slightly turned out. We do want to make sure all corners of both feet are into the floor. On an inhale, bend your front knee. Sweep the arms open into a cactus. On the exhale, straighten the front knee. Exhale, swinging the arms down. Just like that. Keep your tummy in as you inhale, bending the front knee over heel, engaging the muscles of the upper back, and then exhale, Straighten the front knee. Take a breath. Keep moving, inhaling. Shoulder blades flatten on the back, moving down through the ears. Exhale. Front knee bends, arms alongside the body. Let's do that about 4 more times. Keep the tummy in. I feel like feeling the strength of my back leg too, particularly as I bend the front knee. Pressing that back foot into the floor. And let's pause in the warrior one. Front knees bent, rooting down through the outer edge of your back foot. Glutes are engaged. Be lifting your heart a little higher away from your waist. Chin can be slightly towards the throat as you move your head a little back in space. Feeling a real quality of broadness just below the collarbones. With the next exhale, go ahead and straighten the front leg, arm alongside the body, and then just step forward, mountain pose. Second side. Step your right foot back. Feet are about hips width distance wide on the mat, and then that right foot's back behind you, okay? Back toes slightly turned out as we're working to square our hips and shoulders to face the front of the mat. Low belly is pulling in as you lengthen the tailbone down. On an inhale, bend the front knee. Practice arms. The exhale, front leg straightens, arms alongside the body. Keep moving with your breath. Feeling the glutes engage. Particularly feel the strength of your glutes as you bend that front knee, coming into the stretch. Let the glutes support, the engagement of the glutes support the stretch. The chin is slightly towards the throat, moving the head back in space a little bit. Just do about 3 more of these. And then pausing here, this warrior one variation, rooting down through the outer edge of the back foot, ball mound of the back foot. Flattening the shoulder blades down the back as you lift your heart vertically away from your navel. Soften your jaw and tongue. Let's take one more round of breath here. And then exhale, arms alongside the body. Step forward, mountain pose. And okay, now if you have sensitive knees that can't put weight on your knees, please, you're going to do what we just did again. So, and if you're okay with being on your knees, we're going to come down and we're going to do a lunge on our knees. So step your right foot forward. You put some weight on your left knee. And kind of creep that right foot forward until the heel is in front of the knee. Hands can be on hips, just so you can notice, are they level? lengthening your tailbone slightly towards the floor. And on an inhale, you're going to bend the front knee, increasing the sensation of a stretch in the front of the left hip. On the exhale, come on out of it. Again, inhaling a bend of the front knee and exhaling, coming on out of it. Good, keep moving with your breath. Now, options here. If you feel really unsteady on your legs as you're doing this, you can always pull up the chair and maybe have your hands on the seat of the chair as you're doing this. If you're feeling like you don't have the strength to bend that front knee and kind of stay up, no problem. So take care of yourself wherever you are today. We're just increasing the stretch. Again, those of you who can't be on your knees, you're just doing the first variation we did before, the warrior one, right? Now, next time you bend, we're going to hold. Okay, now either bring your palms together in front of your heart, that is if you don't have to hold onto the chair, or you can reach the arms up overhead. And then somewhere in between would be just keeping the left arm up, okay, to increase the stretch. Press your feet into the floor. So the top of the back foot presses into the mat. The right foot, the front foot is pressing down, heel really roots down. Last breath. Good, and then exhale, release. Come to stand on both knees, or perhaps sit in Virasana if that feels okay for you. Everyone's going to just take a moment and rest, either maybe in mountain pose if you are doing the warrior one variation. Feel your breath. Second side. Stepping left foot forward. Creep that left foot a little bit so that the heel is a little in front of the knee. Hands to hips. Tummies in. And get those hips nice and level. Good. On an inhale, bending the front knee. On the exhale, come back to beginning position. Keep moving with your breath. And what's interesting is, we all have kind of asymmetrical stuff going on in our body, right? Because we drive, all kinds of things, right? And so noticing if, one side feels a little tighter, you may have to work a little harder on one side. I do want you to keep your low belly pulling in. I do want you to keep lengthening your tail towards the floor. Now, next time you bend that front knee, we're going to pause there. Keep the hips square with the shoulders facing the front of your mat, pressing that front heel into the floor. Finding an arm variation that works for you, that feels breathable. Maybe the hands come to the chest, palms together, Anjali Mudra. Maybe just right arm reaches up, maybe both arms. Root down those feet into the planet. Lifted heart, nice and easy with the breath. Remembering the rainbow, this too will pass. Whether you like it or you don't. One more breath here. And with the exhale, release. Come to sit in Virasana. Maybe stand on the knees if that's a better fit. Maybe you're standing in mountain pose. Take a round of breath. Good. Let's come onto our belly. You'll move the blanket off the mat if you used it. And you're going to bring the feet together. Tops of the feet are on the floor, so the thighs are parallel. And walk your feet as far from the top edge of the mat as you can go. So kind of anchoring down the rib cage and then walking those feet away. So you're getting a lot of traction in the spine. And then place your hands on either side of your rib cage, elbows hugging in and pointing towards the sky. forehead to the mat. We're going to do a variation of cobra pose. With an inhale, I'd like you to lift your right leg and look forward. Draw your shoulder blades together. Doesn't matter how high that left leg goes, just keep it straight. On the exhale, lower your leg, left cheek to the mat. On the inhale, opposite leg, lifting head, gazing to the top edge of your mat, squeeze elbows and shoulder blades towards center line. Exhale, right cheek to the mat. Inhale, right leg lifts, gazing to the top edge of the mat. Chest is lifted. Exhale, left cheek to the mat, lower the leg. Inhale, straightens left leg up. Lift the chest, gazing to the top edge. Exhale, right cheek to the mat. Keep moving to the rhythm of your breath. You're alternating legs, alternating the turn of the head. Again, please don't concern yourself with how high you go with the back leg. Rather, is your leg straight? That's what I care about. We're kind of weightlifting with the legs to help strengthen the glutes. Squeezing the elbows in and shoulder blades together as you come up. Let's do one more inhaling coming up. This time, leaving your feet on the floor as you come up. So just regular cobra pose, little baby cobra rather. So you could lift your hands off the floor and your pose wouldn't change. You're using the strength of your upper back. I want you to kind of spiral your inner thighs towards the ceiling to broaden the sacrum, broaden the lower back. Gazing slightly down so the chin is towards the throat. Let's take one more round of breath. And then exhale, release the forehead to the mat. Arms alongside the body. Melting to the floor, maybe shimmying the hips or bend the knees and wag the feet. Releasing any tension that might have accumulated in the back. Good. Now, if you can't put weight on your knees, I'd like you just to flip over. Have your knees bent, feet on the floor. If you can put weight on your knees, you're going to come on up through your hands and knees. And we'll do a little Chakrabakasana. So on that inhale, lifting head and tail. Exhale, rounding the back, rear to heels. Let your head go. So it's like you're in child's pose, right? And then inhale, come on back through all fours. Come into a back bend, lifting the head and tail. And then the exhale, send your spine towards the ceiling. Sit back on the heels, release your head to the floor, rounding the back. Those of you, keep moving, those of you on your hands and knees. And then those of you who don't want to put weight on your knees today, you'll just simply keep the feet on the floor and do some pelvic tilt. So exhale, tilting the front of the pelvis towards the face, a little crunch, drawing the tummy in. And then the inhale, tilt the front of the pelvis towards the thighs, increasing the lumbar curve. Exhale, flatten the low back to the mat, navel to spine, tilting the front of the pelvis towards the face. And then inhale, tilt the pelvis away from the face, the front of it rather. The low back comes off the mat. Go ahead, keep moving with your breath. We're all kind of moving the spine, right? Going from a rounded spinal position to an arched spinal position, back and forth to the rhythm of the breath. And those of you who are in your hands and knees, you are going to pause in child's pose and really walk the hands as far towards the top of the mat as you can get. Elbows are straight, pressing the hands into the floor and really feel the spine get long. Stay there for a few breaths. It's almost like your upper body is in a downward dog, right? So, and then those of you who need to be on your back, you'll just find a neutral pelvis and then reach the arms overhead. So we're all getting really long. Fingertips are reaching as far from our pelvis as we can get. Last breath. Good, excellent. And then we're all going to come onto our backs. Bend your knees and have your feet on the floor. So those of you who just did the Chakravarkasana, please go onto your back. Okay, now with the arms alongside the body, flatten the shoulder blades underneath you. And just kind of inquire, have your feet parallel. So they want to be, you want your toes pointing to the short edge of your mat, right? Then the heels may be a little bit in front of the knees on the mat, or perhaps right underneath the knees. We're going to come in and out of bridge as we lift our arms up and back overhead. It's kind of a bridge flow. So on an inhale, lifting the hips, sweep your arms up, keep your gaze at the ceiling when the hips are in the air. Arms go back behind you, and then the exhale, lowering the hips, arms sweep up, and then come back down alongside the body. Good. Keep moving with the breath. The inhale, hips are in the air, arms are back. The exhale, hips are on the floor, arms are on the floor alongside the body. Keep moving. And as you do this, inquire. Sometimes as we lift those hips, the knees want to swing out to the sides. Now, that could just because you have maybe tight quads. It could be potentially because your toes are turning out too far. So again, the toes need to be pointing forward. And what's nice about keeping the thighs parallel is one of the nice things about it is that it actually helps the glutes work a little bit more harder, a little bit more efficiently. And the hamstrings work a little bit harder too. So next time you sweep the hips up and the arms are back overhead, you're going to pause there. Keep gazing at the ceiling. When the hips are up when the hips are lifted, we don't want to turn the head. And we're just going to pause here now. Have the palms facing each other. The thumb edges of the hands are down. The pinky edges are facing the ceiling. And then maybe there's room to lift the hips a little higher. Feel into it. Couple more breaths. Remembering the rainbow. When your next exhale arrives, release your hips to the floor and the arms can come alongside the body. Take a few rounds of breath here. And just notice the curvature of your spine. Without having to change anything, just notice what areas of the spine are on the floor, what areas are maybe a little light or off the floor. And then I'd like you to draw the knees into the chest without holding on to them. So the knees are just going to come into the chest. And then you're going to place your hands on the backs of the thighs. Do your best to keep the thighs as close together as possible. And we at least want them parallel here. So on an inhale, you're going to reach your heels towards the sky. Toes are peeling back towards the knees. And on the exhale, Bend the knees, return to the beginning position. So you're really trying to keep those, the tops of the thighs as close to the belly as you can get it. Hands are helping you do that. You're kind of pulling those thighs in. Inhale, extending the heels towards the sky. And if you find yourself going really fast through this, slow down and just like imagine you were moving through a molasses. Taking your time to really notice each point of the way as you're reaching those heels towards the sky. Noticing any shaking, noticing all the different sensations that change in the backs of the legs. It's all transient. Let's do one more of those. Good. Now, sweep your arms out left and right. And then we're just going to swing the legs to the left. Left hand can rest on the top of the right thigh. Inhale, lengthen your head and heart away from your waist vertically. And then exhale, turning the head to the right, any amount that feels healthy. Let's take about 2 more rounds of breath in this twist. On your next inhale, inflate the legs back through center, so bringing them back in. Pause here for an exhale. Stay here for the inhale. And now the exhale, let's go to the second side. Knees go right. Right hand can rest on that top leg. Inhale, lengthening head and heart away from the waist. Reach it, get long in the trunk. Exhale, head turns to the left, any amount. That right hand is resting on top of the thigh. If you want to add a little pressure and that feels nice, feel free. You don't have to really crank on it. Just like a gentle encouragement to move the legs a little closer together. One more round of breath here. Good, and then inhale, come back through center. Exhale, release the feet to the floor. Feel your breath. Roll to one side and come on up to sit in Sukhasana, cross-legged position. Have your right shin in front. If your hamstrings feel really tight and you're rounding excessively in the back, I encourage you, actually, let's all sit up on the blanket because I would like us to do a little bit of neck work, and it's easier to get into the neck if you've got a tall spine. So elevate the hips so they feel a little bit more in line with the knees or perhaps even higher than the knees. Rolling the shoulders forward, up, and then back, and then let them settle down the back. Bring the right hand to the floor and inhale, left arm, bicep up over ear. Bend that bottom elbow and wrap that bottom shoulder onto the back and kind of down away from the ear. On the inhalations, Feel the left side body get long. On the exhalations, releasing the left hip bone towards the floor. Now, slowly lower your head towards the mat. So it's like the right ear kind of hangs towards the right shoulder, tilting the head towards the right shoulder, and then sweep your left arm out to the left and reaching the left fingertips. So now your left hand is, probably, I don't know, about 8 inches hovering above the floor, reaching those fingertips away. And it's like through reaching the fingertips away, it's helping guide that left shoulder away from the left ear so that you can increase the stretch on the left side of the neck, the head hanging to the right. Now, I would like you to imagine that the corner of your jaw, the top jaw, that's your left one, imagine like maybe you have like a little eyeball on the left corner of your jaw. And I want you to try to lift the corner of the jaw a little higher towards the ceiling so that the eyeball, maybe there's something directly above you, the eyeball's trying to get a better look at. Lifting that corner of the jaw a little higher, keeping the head heavy to the right. And then imagine just like maybe where the ceiling and the front wall in front of you meet, the eyeball wants to get a better look at that spot. So you're going to kind of angle the head so now the corner of the jaw, where that eyeball is looking to where the ceiling in front of you and the wall in front of you are meeting. And now lean your head back in space just a little bit. Maybe release the head a little bit further towards the right side shoulder. Good. And then release left fingertips to the floor. Your right hand is going to gently help the head come back through center. Both hands rest on the knees and just notice the left and right side of the body, left and right side of the neck. Right, and then let's cross left shin in front of right. Roll the shoulders forward, up, and back, down the back. The shoulder blades flatten. Left fingertips to the mat, bending left elbow. Inhale, sweep right arm up, bicep by ear, big reach. So each inhalation, lengthening the top ribs. Each exhalation, releasing the right hip to the floor. And you can just keep your head lifted at this point. So we're just doing a little side bend, working on keeping that bottom shoulder away from the ear though. Shoulder blade flat on the back. And sometimes there's a tendency as we do these side bends is to kind of curl forward, like the front shoulder comes forward. Uh, if it's possible, try to move the top shoulder, the front shoulder comes, the top shoulder, try to move it slightly back behind you if that feels breathable. Maybe moving the arms slightly a little bit back behind the head, maybe even if it's just a centimeter. Now release the left ear towards left shoulder. Keep that left shoulder kind of tucked down onto the back. And sweep right fingertips out to the right and kind of reaching on a diagonal line away from the shoulder. So fingertips maybe about 8 inches above the mat. Keep reaching your heart away from your belly button. And head releasing to the left. Just giving the head a little time to release heavily towards that left shoulder. And in your mind's eye, notice your right, the corner of your right jaw, right here. Imagine there's I don't know, maybe it's a little googly eye or something, and start to lift the corner of the jaw a little bit higher towards the ceiling to be like, oh, it's going to look at something directly on the ceiling, right above you. Keep reaching through right fingertips. Soft tongue, soft jaw. And stay connected to your breath. And now imagine it's very interested, that googly eye on your right jaw is very interested in where the ceiling and the wall in front of you meet. So you're going to keep the head heavy to the left and then move the corner of the jaw slightly forward, looking so that googly eye can get a better look at where the ceiling in front of you and the wall in front of you meet. Reaching right fingertips away from the ear. On your next exhale, release right hand to the floor. Head stays heavy to the left, and then your left hand kindly helps the head back through center. Oh, thank you, left hand. Pause here, both hands on knees, noticing the breath. Noticing both sides of the body. Good. Okay, come on off your blanket, and you're gonna bend the knees, feet on the floor in front of you. Fingertips are turning out. So basically check that your thumbs are pointing the same direction your toes are pointing, and your middle fingers are pointing like east and west. And then bend your elbows and swing them towards each other as you kind of dig the bottom tip of your scapula, your shoulder blades, into the back of your heart and puff your heart up towards the ceiling. Chin slightly towards throat, and then move the head a little bit back in space, kind of like getting it out of the way. If you're going to try to sun your heart, make sure your head's not casting a shadow on your heart. And some of you might want to kind of come up into, reverse plank, and that feels like fun for you. Go ahead and do that. Really, it's all about just creating a little bit more space in the chest. And then inhaling, come on back up. And exhaling, come onto the floor. Preparing for relaxation pose. Please feel free to lie flat. If your back needs a little bit of love, maybe you slide the blanket so that's underneath both knees. And so the slight bend of the knees can help release any tension in the back. Backs of the hands are going to come to spill off the mat on either side of you. Maybe flattening the shoulder blades underneath you a little bit more. Stretching the face, wiggle it. Releasing any tension that might have accumulated in the face. And then closing the eyes, relaxation pose. Then as you scan through the body and just ensure that you're really surrendering yourself into the floor, surrendering yourself into this fleeting moment of relaxation, I'd like to just read you the rest of this excerpt from Grace and Possibility. Your being is just like a rainbow, here for an exquisitely breathtaking moment. Remembering the truth of impermanence is rooted in the deep reverence for our humanness. Understanding the nature of change opens us up to our potential. What is possible when we embrace our own impermanence? Rest here. In this moment, how can you honor the divine rainbow of who you are? Feel now. How can you let your life be a message of what you most value? Allow a vision of your life to emerge. Imagine how you would feel, what life would be like when you are rooted in and guided by values that align you with integrity. Steep your awareness in a rainbow of possibility. This is it. What do you want there to be at the end of your rainbow? Deepen your breath. What do you want to be at the end of your rainbow? Wiggling your fingers and toes. Take a big morning stretch. And then hugging one leg in a time to your chest. Give yourself a squeeze of gratitude for taking this time for yourself, knowing that it's time taken for everyone you come in contact with, a gift to them as well.
And then roll to one side and use the strength of your arms to come up to a seat of your choice. We'll meet with our palms together in front of our heart. Noticing how the body, mind, breath currently are arising. And if you're able to cultivate any benefit from your yoga practice today, I invite you to think of someone you'd like to dedicate your practice to. Imagine that you could send the benefits like a gift out to someone special. Who would it be? Maybe someone who could use a little bit of relaxation, strength, heart opening, energizing. See them clearly. And we'll gather it up on an inhale and send it out on the exhale. As you're ready, breathe it in, send it to them. See them smiling, feeling good. Thank you for practicing today. Namaste.